Okay, part 8, let's go. Let's go. I stood there, stunned, for a good half-minute. Did all of this belong to Hiro? What was it for? I wanted to see every object in the room, to examine everything slowly and carefully. But there was no telling how soon Hiro would return. I have to prioritize. First, I went to the yellowed map that dominated one whole wall of the room. It was a highly detailed map of Fukuyama, showing not only every street, alleyway, and a footpath in the entire village, but every house and apartment building as well. It was covered with copper pushpins, each with a person's name attached. Most pins were tied to another with the length of thread. Each thread was a particular color, red, gray, or black. Some threads had been snipped and left to dangle. Hiro had undertaken an insanely ambitious effort to keep track of connections between certain people in town. But why? I turned my attention to the bookshelves that lined the walls. It was like a library consisting of only one type of book. There were hundreds upon hundreds of them, each precisely the same height and thickness. I pulled one down and began reading at random. Mr. Matsumoto has not yet noticed Miss Hayashi, went a typical passage, but it is no wonder. He is still wasting too much time in the vain pursuit of Miss Yamada. It is still far too soon, the writer concluded, to arrange a chance meeting. There were notations in a hardbound notebook just like Hiro's, but the handwriting wasn't his. Indeed, this entry was dated June 3rd, 1903. The book had surely passed through several generations before coming into Hiro's possession. I began pulling books down by armful, sampling as many of them as I could. Most passages were easy enough to understand. Entries about this man being suitable for that woman, or that girl losing interest in this boy. But there was a whole series of terms I'd never seen before. Fascinatory response, sustained enumeration, irreversible waning trajectory. I felt that I was eavesdropping on the internal communications of a strange secret society, a network of people engaged in an elaborate study of the man and the woman of Fukuyama, and the ways in which they fell in and out of love with one another. And with all this talk of arranging chance meetings, clearly, these people were doing far more than just watching and taking notes. I reshelved the books and crossed to Hiro's desk. There were stacks of books and papers, charts and graphs, ample evidence that at any given time, Hiro was dealing with vast amounts of information relating to hundreds of people. Some part-time job, I thought. He must be some part-time job, I thought. He must be at this straight through the night, every day of the week. There was an open notebook in the middle of the desk. Leaning closer, I saw that the handwriting was Hiro's, and that the most recent entry was from just that morning. Manami Kobayashi has demonstrated the necessary selflessness and perseverance. Manama Kobayashi. She was a classmate of mine at Fukuyama High. Hiro wasn't only watching people around town. He was keeping tabs on kids at school too. Of course, Fukuyama High was perfect for the whole operation. Hiro could appear to be taking notes in class while actually taking notes on fellow students. Necessary selflessness and perseverance. Necessary for what? The entry continued. I believe Manami is ready for a brief glance from Yohei Chiba, which could be arranged as early as next Friday. As for a first conversation, I would estimate 2 more weeks at least, and perhaps as many as the door. Hiro,